Today is Tuesday, November 14th. We'll tell you about a giant rally in the nation's capital today that's expected to bring out thousands of marchers, politicians, and law enforcement. Also, what's included in the Supreme Court's first ever Code of Conduct and why some say it's not enough. Plus, how a closed Los Angeles interstate might actually impact people across the country. What a new study found about the weight loss drug Wegovy. And why some stores are already offering discounts ahead of Black Friday. Those stories and more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Law enforcement in the nation's capital are on high alert today ahead of a massive pro-Israel rally. The march is expected to draw tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people from all around the U.S. to Washington, D.C. They're set to demand the return of more than 200 hostages who were captured by Hamas militants last month. They'll also call for better efforts to combat anti-Semitism. But until now, the vast majority of demonstrations around the world have been pro-Palestinian. So some organizers of today's rally say they're hoping to show that Israel gets just as much support. Israel's President Isaac Herzog is scheduled to give a speech, along with several top American lawmakers. The Homeland Security Department has designated it a Level 1 security event, and that is the highest rating of risk assessment. Now, to be clear, law enforcement officers have not confirmed any specific or credible coordinated efforts to do damage, though there have been regular threats popping up ever since the Israel-Hamas war first started. So there is some fear that individual extremists could see the march as an opportunity, but law enforcement says they're prepared. For comparison, the Super Bowl is also regularly designated Level 1, and just like with the Super Bowl, the FBI has sent out a threat assessment to federal, state, and local law enforcement to brief them on what's happening. The war between Israel and Hamas seems to be deepening divisions within the Biden administration. More than 100 State Department employees have now signed internal memos saying they disagree with the White House's approach to the war. One of the more recent memos accuses Israel of committing war crimes in Gaza. It says President Biden should do more to question Israel's actions and also call for a ceasefire, something Biden has said would only benefit Hamas. Secretary of State Antony Blinken responded with an email to staff yesterday saying differing opinions and fresh perspectives are always welcome. But in the end, everyone in the government has to accept and implement policies set at senior levels. Meanwhile, in Gaza, things seem to be getting more dire. The United Nations now says all of its aid work will grind to a halt by tomorrow if they don't get more fuel supplies today. All while the humanitarian disaster is said to be worsening. Officials in Gaza say they're on the brink of a total communication blackout. And there's now even sewage overflowing into the streets because there's not electricity to power the sewage pumps. So there's new fear of a health and environmental catastrophe. You'll remember several hospitals have already been forced to shut down their operations, including Gaza's largest hospital, where hundreds of people are still holed up inside, even though there is no food, water, or electricity. But outside, fighting is escalating between Israeli ground forces and Hamas militants, since Israel and the U.S. say Hamas houses its headquarters and tunnels under the facility. The militant group says that's not true. But yesterday, Israel's military released more evidence, a video from inside a children's hospital where troops apparently found stashed weapons. It also showed rooms in the basement where Israel believes Hamas took some of the hostages from Israel, though still no sign of where those hostages might be now. For the first time in the 234-year history of the U.S. Supreme Court, justices are going to have to abide by an official code of conduct. This comes in the wake of revelations about justices receiving undisclosed luxury trips and having other associations with wealthy benefactors. So the justices put together their own new formal code that says they can't knowingly use the prestige of their office to advance private interests, cannot give anyone the impression they are in a special position to influence decisions, and should not speak at any event associated with a political party or political campaign, among other things. The Supreme Court says it's been abiding by these rules already, but now what was considered common law is codified in hopes of regaining some public trust. That said, the new code of conduct drew some mixed reviews. Critics noticed it doesn't say how justices could be investigated or punished for possible violations, or even who would be in charge of that, though others say none of this is needed, and that the only reason there's any talk of Supreme Court ethics is because justices have made some unpopular rulings lately. Either way, lawmakers say they're going to review the code of conduct to see if Congress needs to take further action. To be continued. Remember yesterday we told you about a storage yard fire that shut down a major freeway in Los Angeles? Well, now that fire is being investigated as arson. California Governor Gavin Newsom says it's clear the fire was set intentionally, though investigators have not released any information about a suspect, motive, or any leads. Meanwhile, the fire is still causing major traffic headaches for hundreds of thousands of commuters near downtown LA. A mile-long stretch of I-10 is shut down indefinitely while crews examine the structural damage. At this point, it's not clear if they'll just have to make some repairs or tear the whole freeway down and replace it. But the longer it takes to repair, the more people might be impacted, even beyond California. Since two of America's biggest ports are in LA and Long Beach, there's also some concern this could slow down parts of the supply chain. And those two ports handle more than half the goods coming into the country. This has been declared a state of emergency to try and help speed things up. Stay tuned. We have more news for you still coming up. But first, a quick break for our sponsor. If you are looking for the deodorant to keep you smelling fresh and clean all over this holiday season, look no further. Lumi Whole Body Deodorant is proven to keep working for up to 72 hours. So if 3 days of odor control isn't something to be thankful for, I don't know what is. Lumi is truly my go-to, from the body wash to the stick deodorant to the on-the-go deodorant wipes. I love all the options and the effectiveness. Unlike a lot of aluminum-free deodorant that just tries to mask odor, Lumi acts as a sort of pre-odorant, actually blocking bacteria from digesting fluids on our skin, which then prevents BO from happening in the first place. Lumi's starter pack is actually perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off Lumi's starter pack with our exclusive code and link. And for a limited time, returning customers can get $5 off their next purchase of $30 or more, too. So use code NEWSWORTHY at LumiDeodorant.com. LumiDeodorant.com. Thank you to Lumi for making this holiday season smell a whole lot better. Okay, now back to the news. Women make up more than half of the U.S. population, but are still understudied and underrepresented in health research. And this knowledge gap could have serious consequences for women's health. Well, now a new White House initiative led by First Lady Jill Biden is looking to close the gap. It directs multiple agencies to come up with recommendations to advance women's health research and ultimately find areas for new investment. Jill Biden said former California First Lady Maria Shriver first brought this issue to her attention. Shriver has said doctors cannot treat or prevent women from getting sick if they don't have the necessary research to refer to, whether that's for heart attacks and Alzheimer's in women or managing the side effects of menopause. The hope is the funding for the First Lady's initiative will come from not only the government, but also the private sector and philanthropic leaders. It turns out a popular weight loss drug could also offer some benefits beyond losing pounds. An international study published in the New England Journal of Medicine examined Wegovy, which is a high-dose version of Ozempic. The data shows in the study, the drug lowers the risk of heart attack, stroke, or death from heart disease by 20%. And the benefits were seen almost immediately after starting treatment, before patients had even started losing weight. This trial wasn't actually conducted to test weight loss, so they didn't have to track their diet and exercise the way they would in obesity trials. But patients lost an average of 10% of their total body weight anyway. Though we should note, about a third of all patients in the study did report serious side effects. Still, some experts say they're excited to find out that an obesity medication that's already available can safely prevent heart problems. In fact, this is the first study that's found that to be true. It seems the historic auto workers strike that ended in new contracts with the big 3 automakers out of Detroit is benefiting even more employees in the auto industry. Hyundai is the latest company that wasn't involved in those negotiations to now say it's going to give its workers a raise too. Those who work in Alabama and Georgia will get a 25% pay bump over the next 4 years. Just last week, Honda and Toyota told employees they would also raise some workers' pay. These announcements mean those companies can stay competitive with the big 3, Ford, GM, and Stellantis, who just made new deals with unionized workers. Meanwhile, the big 3 are working to cut costs to afford those new contracts. Already, GM and Ford announced they were going to delay their electric vehicle investments. And this week, Stellantis started offering buyouts to thousands of employees. You might see some big holiday deals this season. A new Reuters analysis found many major American retailers have too much product on their hands and that they're looking to get rid of it all with discounts. For businesses, it seems to be a bad year to have stuffed stock rooms since Americans are expected to spend just 3 or 4% more this holiday season than last, and that apparently represents the slowest pace of growth in 5 years. And it's notable that last year, shoppers were already pulling back because of inflation. So some retailers like Foot Locker and Target are carrying lower inventories this time around, but other major chains like Macy's and Walmart still have plenty of excess. That could be good news for customers. Some are already offering deals now to clear out that extra inventory even before Black Friday. And yes, it is that time of year again. Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You is starting to make its yearly climb up the charts. It's already made an appearance on Spotify's most played list, as well as the UK Top 40 earlier than ever. The song has already been heard on the radio and in stores, too, along with other Christmas tunes. Also featured on Spotify's Top 50 right now, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, White Christmas, Jingle Bell Rock, and Last Christmas. Well, that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Trivia Tuesday, when we ask a different trivia question every week. But first, thanks to our sponsor, Copilot. Add in the holidays and the sicknesses that pop up this time of year to our typical busy lives, and no wonder exercise can often fall to the bottom of our to-do list. But this year, I'm feeling so good at getting my workouts in each week thanks to Copilot. The Copilot app offers a connection to a real-life trainer from the comfort and convenience of my home. My trainer, Megan, made me personalized workout plans based on my body and my current lifestyle, and she is so responsive too whenever I message her. Plus, it's incredibly motivating having her cheering me on. It adds in an accountability piece that I've now realized makes such a difference. And it's such a cost-effective way to have access to a personal trainer too. I'd love for you to follow my lead to get fit and feel fabulous. Give Copilot a try to find out why it was listed by Forbes as the top-rated personal trainer app of 2023. Head to go.mycopilot.com/newsworthy to get a 14-day free trial with your own personal trainer. That's go.mycopilot.com/newsworthy to get a free 14-day trial with your very own personal trainer. Take a back seat and let Copilot help you reach your fitness goals. Okay, now back to Trivia Tuesday. Today's trivia question is, ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll were the first words spoken on what cable channel? You can play along with us in our weekly roundup email that comes out every Friday. Simply sign up to get it at thenewsworthy.com/email or find the link in today's episode notes. As for last week's trivia question, humans share 98.8% of our DNA sequence with what animal? The answer is chimpanzees. As the American Museum of Natural History explains it, humans and chimps descended from the same ancestor species that lived 6 or 7 million years ago, which is why our DNA is so similar. But of course, we still aren't exactly the same as chimps. Each human cell has about 3 billion bits of information, so just 1.2% of that equals about 35 million differences. And while there are a lot of identical genes, each one of those genes can be used in different ways or turned up and down like volume on a radio. All right, thank you so much for listening and joining us today. We'll be back with another news roundup tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.